Alright, so we're here on the ES. We have this uptrend here, which I'm going to zoom out and show everything actually. So we have these two legs up here. We do have this wider uptrend, and basically price bursted through that measured move level, spiked on through, price overshot this uptrend, and after the overshoot, it's made these two attempts back, which overall was just pretty choppy, kind of went into a range here. And then you can see, at first you had these two legs down here, but when you combine them, it's, oh, there we go. And when you combine them, you have this first leg break and that second leg. And so you can kind of see there was a two-legged move off of the overnight high. And that's not ideal for buying off of because you don't want to buy after a double test. Now, if there's really good context and you're getting a clear hold, then you can, but considering it just made a double test off of the overnight high, and it was after an overshoot of a trend. Overshoots commonly lead to breaks. I was not wanting to buy right here, but then, and like I said, since this there was a double test, it could easily count as a count reset, and so that's why you can clearly see that price made another set of a two-legged move stemming from here, even though it was the second leg for another, the other move. And so, yeah, basically we have these two legs down here, measured move right at the trend line right here. Now overshoots do commonly lead to breaks. However, we are in a strong uptrend, pushed way past this measured move, and got these two attempts to reverse after it. And so that's why I like going long here. Basically like a reversal failure, we got our two attempts and entry order on the measured move right where that trend line is. So I like that here. It's a fade of this range right here. When price breaks out of a range, or overnight levels for that matter too, but in this case a range, we can expect price to attempt to fade back in. So that's why I like this trade here. And yeah, I like 5 points, pushing back into the range right there. And yeah, I'm going to pause the video and I'll unpause it when something interesting happens. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that live trade. Right now it is noon, exactly noon, and we're going to do this review. So I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here, right as this uptrend got a break. And so when an uptrend has a break, we can expect price to attempt a new high. So we start pushing on up here. In order to make a new high, it would have to push through the overnight high, because when price made that break, that gave us our overnight high level. And so basically we start pushing up, attempting a new high, and then very quickly price pushes lower, makes a double bottom, basically trying to reverse down, because even though it just formed the overnight high, that's still coming off the overnight high. It's very likely to get a reversal and reach the overnight low. And so price pushes down here, but it can't get through that previous support. And so there's some support forming. Price makes another attempt up here, and then it just plummets on down after reaching the this level here. Now, just to be clear here, at first, when price starts pushing lower, you have this downtrend, and then here. So you have this measured move right there. I'm going to remove this just for a sec. So you have this measured move down, but then price starts reversing higher, and then it breaks that swing. Okay, and so this measured move is no longer valid because prices went above that swing. And so basically what you have here is you have to learn how to combine legs into one move. So basically these two legs here, it might not look like it, and it is very sideways, so I understand how it could be hard to see it this way, but on a bigger picture, this is all one leg. Now, if price had pushed on lower here, it would be a lot more clear. Like if price kept on dropping down to here, it would be very clear that you can combine these legs. But since it didn't go past that previous swing, it can be a little bit harder to tell, but technically you are supposed to draw it like that at that point in order to see the bigger picture leg. And so then here, which you probably noticed I had it drawn like this in the live trade video. So basically what you have here is two legs down, measured move, price reacted right off that measured move. Now, I was not confident in buying it because even though it's a two-legged move down, it is also a double test off of the overnight high, and we had a very bearish push down right there, and I was not wanting to go long right after that. It's very iffy, so this is the bodies are lower on this second push down, but it still could count as a count reset because it's still a double top. So it's just a little iffy. Was not wanting to buy there. It still got a decent push up, but I was not, you know, confident in that at all, especially to reach the other side of the range here. And so anyway, price ended up pushing lower. It made a couple attempts higher before pushing on lower here. And then what we have, that brings this part into play. So we have this measured move as well. So even though, this was one leg, this push down here, break, and then that was the start of that second leg, again, it is also a double top, and clearly this is its own set of two legs stemming from right here. So sometimes they can kind of get mixed up and it can be confusing, but with time you will learn to sort through it. And so anyway, we have these two legs down here right to the trend line right here. So we have this uptrend going just off these two swings here. At first price was, the highs were drawn like this, clear overshoot, but it did end up pushing back in here, which I really only put the highs back up here after we continued pushing higher from here. And so anyway, let me get back into this trade here. So we have these two pushes down to the key entry point right here. And so I like going long right here. We have great context. This uptrend right here has a break and a new high, which, tells you, oh, we could reverse, but we have our two attempts to reverse right here. And so that's why I like going long right here on this measured move. Now, one person did ask me about entering exactly right here. So basically, that would be anticipating there to be support before reaching this trend line. And honestly, it was just kind of around that area. I mean, I didn't exactly intend to get in on that tick. I kind of just placed it as it was getting close. But my intention was buying this measured move at the same time as it holding on this trend line. So anyway, we push on up here. It pushed through a little bit, pushed back up, continued on higher, and then faded this range right here. So we push on up. We got into this. We pushed up to the overnight high and then found a third bounce right there. So when price starts pushing lower here, it's pretty clear that this is a two-legged move. So even though we have this uptrend right here, and this is part of it, clearly we get a spike from here, and that's right where our overnight low started. So that's pretty common to see. You can look at price action over multiple days, and it works the same. However, you still have to give weight to the overnight high and low. As soon as price opened right here, overnight low right here, it took off, and then the open ended up becoming the overnight low. And so we push on up here. On a bigger picture, you can kind of see you have uptrend. This whole thing is your break. All of this price action right here, the part where it's going sideways and down, it's all part of the break. So uptrend, break, and then we're pushing up to a new high right there. And so as we push higher, it's a little bit clearer to see. This is a two-legged move. And so we push up, we get this break. This measured move is still in play at this point, and so we can technically look to get long. In this area, we just don't get a good setup. If we got two clear legs down to the this range low, then we could have got something, but it all kind of stayed within this channel. It didn't get to any support, so really nothing to take. We push on higher here. We break out of the overnight high, and price starts to go sideways. You can see we get these couple attempts down. Now, you see here, the reason I don't want to buy that measured move is because it's already faded back into the overnight high. So I wouldn't want to expect price to break back out from right there. And so anyway, we push on up, we make this triple top. It continues to be a little bit sideways. As price pierces out from this range, we can look to extend it. Clearly this range is widening. It's continuing to go sideways. And then here we got this. Oh, sorry, let me adjust this right here. And then put this back up. So here we get this bounce higher, quickly pushes lower, makes this quad top. There's still nothing to enter on. Right here, you still can't go short because obviously this bar is too big. You can't go long here. This bar is too big. It's also just in an iffy area because it had such a good push into the overnight high right here, and that's just not ideal for going long. It's not a clear hold, so just a bit iffy. And then here we get another push down. We reach this key entry point because after price pierced through right there, you can look to extend the trend line. We get a bounce right there. Just because it's off that trend line does not mean we want to buy. Price just made a new high and then had a very sharp push down. Even though we had this little tick higher, I don't view this as a good look in second entry, it's still a very sharp push down with the entry directly into the overnight high. It does end up taking off, however. It's pretty common to see, you know, a symmetry move after a sharp spike. It's very common to get a sharp spike back up. I'm not going to buy betting on that to happen without other good reason to buy, but that could be what's happening there. It kind of makes that V pattern. And so anyway, that's it for the ES. We could get a push up, a couple legs retesting this high right here. It's a pretty small range, as far as how tall it is, but it's definitely very clear support right there, or resistance if it pushes higher than support, but you know what I mean. So anyway, could get a long to reach that measured move up there, but I'm going to hop over to the NQ. So here we are in the NQ. I didn't take anything on the NQ today. Here's our overnight high, here's our overnight low. I started trading at 8 Central Time, like I already mentioned. That's around this area right here. This uptrend has a break. We can expect price to attempt a new high. And at first, we get this push down here. You can see that measured move. Price never met that measured move, but we could have got something for a long. Say price reaches that measured move, pushes up, could get something. So anyway, we're going into this downtrend right here. Price ends up getting a break, so we have downtrend, break, price starts attempting to push to a new low. But sorry, I feel like I just kind of glossed over this part a little fast. So you have this downtrend, break, pushing down to a new low, makes a new low, but it doesn't reach its measured move, starts reversing on higher here. Now you have this downtrend in play, and if you push above here, you would be able to look for a long if price pushes up, gets a couple clear legs down. There's not a whole lot of room for it. It looks like there'd be barely enough room to get 2 decent legs down with a nice hold, but it ends up just going up, pushing out the high and fading right back in, pushing out the low, which you can already be looking to extend these lows to there because you already had those 2 pierces out. But either way, right here, it's just one sharp leg down, a first entry. From up here, with this one leg, it is technically a second entry. However, I didn't want to count that as a second entry because it had just made the reversal from this smaller trend. So like downtrend, break, new low, reversal, and then quick failure. So I wasn't expecting it to continue from there. So I just wanted to have seen a good, clear 2-legged move down from there. So anyway, it does end up pushing higher here. We push on up, we make a new high at the overnight high, and then price attempts to reverse. This would be a good spot for a reversal pattern. Now the bias was heavily up over the last several days, but if price manages to break this trend that's forming, because this trend really only formed, you can try drawing it there, quickly broke, and then it ended up holding from there. But if price can push through, makes a clear failed second entry, gets a great reaction, then we can still look to go short. These overnight high levels are very important. They act like a range. And when you come off one side, you can expect price to attempt to reach the other side. So ideally, on that, it would just, push below, get a couple legs back, holding off that support would be nice, extending that right there. But, it ends up just pushing on up right at that, this trend line right here. So we don't get that short, which isn't too surprising. It's been very bullish. So it just continues on higher, and then we break out of the overnight high. So at this point, we already made that new high, but price just needed a little correction and then made a second leg up. So uptrend, break, and then your first attempt at a new high. At first, you got this right here, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, but it made a double bottom, and then clearly these 2 spikes are, they're very connected. As you can see, this is the 2 attempts at a new high. And so first attempt higher, second attempt higher, and then right at that measured move, price starts pushing down. Now, I do not like shorting that measured move because, even though it's a perfect measured move right here, you can't just expect it to reverse right off of it. You're in an uptrend. Price is very bullish. It's extremely bullish. Price was unable to reverse off of the overnight high. It made a double bottom right there, basically forming a bullish imbalance within this overnight range. And so, it's not worth going short there. It does push down here. We get a couple legs down before reversing on higher, and then it pushes up, pushes past that swing, and then goes on down, basically staying within this range. So if you entered here, I mean, if you entered with a stop right above that signal bar, you would have been stopped out. But if you bought the measured move, or in this case, shorted the measured move, and then had a decent stop put up here, you would have won. But you don't know it's going to happen, so it's not a good idea to short there. And so we don't get any clear long either. You know, you get a measured move down right there. But you know, even though I was not wanting to go short there, and even though it's not a good idea to go short here, you still have to consider the idea that it is a measured move. You know, price can fade this overnight high, and so it's also unlikely to, you know, continue higher, or it's not, you can't expect it to push higher from here on this measured move down, because it could just keep on pushing down. So, you know, even though we're looking long and we're looking for longs here, and it's very bullish, and I don't want to go short there, I also don't want to expect it to continue higher immediately from here after this measured move had such a good reaction to it. So that's why I did not want to go long here. It does end up pushing up, make that new high, and then it starts reversing on down. We get this push lower here. I would like to see two clear legs retesting the overnight high. That could have given us a great long, because we're also breaking this uptrend. So we have uptrend, break, expecting price to attempt a new high, or we can expect an attempt at a new high that we can look to get into. And when price starts pushing up here, this can give us an opportunity to get a long. If we push up, we could get a couple legs down right here, making a failed second entry. But in this case here, it gets very choppy, goes into a range right here, and then, you know, we make this higher low, but you know, I don't like it after that chop right there, and then that very bearish bar. So you know, I personally don't like that there, but it does end up pushing higher, making a second leg up to the overnight high, and then reversing on down. And so, anyway, you know, it retests it right there. Would have loved to see two legs down. This, you know, I understand from here, you know, this swing is lower than that, so it could be first entry, second entry. However, we came off of this side of the range. You have to consider the range rules. It's not just the legs. You got to consider the range rules. When you come off one side, you can expect price to attempt to reach the other side, often with two legs, and we only have one very sharp bearish leg pushing out of this support right here. So, not really wanting to go long. It has a good reaction to the overnight high. What the heck? Sorry, I'm getting pop-ups on my computer. Oh, it's my printer thing. Alright, so anyway, so we push on up here, but yeah, too bearish of a push down. Would want to see two-legged move. Unfortunately, we don't get that. And so anyway, we push on up, we find resistance at that high again, so clearly this, you know, there's a lot of resistance at this high. We can look to start expanding or extending this high because of all these pierces. It is still finding some good resistance right there though, so it is still worth considering it to be here. But anyway, looks like we're making a two-legged move higher off of the overnight high. So when price reaches it, that could end up giving, you know, if it pushes lower here, I still wouldn't want to short directly on that, but if it pushes lower, we could easily push into a reversal pattern and then, you know, get a short possibly. So anyway, that'll be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed that live trade, and thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.